Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all right because what we're diving into today is heavy, so heavy. This next season 19, episode 25 of Sister Wives is going to be one of the most emotional episodes in the whole history of the show. And considering how many dramatic, intense, even tear-inducing moments we've seen involving the Brown family all these years, that really does tell you a lot. The name of this episode is He Heals the Brokenhearted, and by the name of the episode alone, you can get all you need to know. It's a quote straight from the Bible, Psalm 147:3 specifically. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wound. That line is full of emotional weight, and because the tragedy that this episode is about is so very real, the tragic loss of Garrison Brown, then it couldn't be more fitting. So let's stand still for a moment and observe the truth first. This isn't television. This is life, a real family grieving, and we the viewers are being invited into the process. Messy, complicated, raw, and all. So, here's the gist of what we know. The Brown family is gathering in Wyoming to lay Garrison to rest. The funeral is being held at the grave right next to his grandparents, a place with deep generational roots, a place of legacy, and now a place of bereavement. And it's not just symbolic sacred ground, it's physically and emotionally sacred ground. According to TLC's episode summary, we watch Kody digging the grave of Garrison's ashes. That is so intense, such a strong picture in and of itself. Regardless of what you think about Kody, and trust me, we all think things. There's a gut check to it to watch a father do that for his son. It's a moment that peels away the cameras, the reality TV politics, the confessional theatrics, and arrives at something raw and honest. And I just want to pause there for a second, because while we all watch Sister Wives for different reasons, some for the drama, some for the emotional storyline, some out of loyalty after all these years, this is the kind of episode that rises above all of it. This is loss. This is family. This is what happens when people who've been shattered by decades of hurt, silence, and betrayal are suddenly reunited by something so awful it demands their attention, demands that they show up. And show up. They did. Almost the whole family came out to Wyoming for Garrison's memorial. And yes, that includes people who have not shared the same space since the splits, the divorce, the tears that have unspooled over the past several seasons. Christine, Janelle, their children, even Meri, were present. There's something deeply affecting in that. It doesn't erase the hurt. It doesn't wash away the years of emotional distance, but it does show that when most needed, when the unthinkable happened, they were there. Now, I'm certain a lot of you already watched the clip that TLC uploaded prior to airing the show. If not, you can watch it on their official Sister Wives Facebook or Instagram pages. I wish I could play it here, but of course Discovery Media is super strict about copyright, and I'm not gonna get this video taken down. But in that video, there is one that hit me hard. Janelle in her interview says something that says it all. She says that even after they'd gotten together with this sad shadow of loss looming over them, the thing about being together, the coming together, is good. That they're making memories even in grief. That's the thing about grief. It opens doors that were long shut. It melts the hearts that were hardened with anger or distance. Janelle is a girl we've seen bear so much weight, so much burden, and she's not a girl who speaks like that lightly. So when she speaks to us and says that being together is still worth it, you know she means it. You feel it. And it's not just about the adult. Garrison's brothers, Gabriel, Hunter, Madison, and others, have been deeply affected by this. Garrison was their brother, their friend, the one who was there for them when things were tense with their dad. And now they're mourning him, not just as a brother, but as a symbol of everything that's been lost. Trust, harmony, a feeling of security at home. There's this underlying sadness in the air, even in the clips we've been presented with. Now, let's talk about something that has kind of turned off a lot of fans. Kody and Robyn, and more so their behavior on this trip to Wyoming. A great number of fans, including myself, have picked up on what seems like an awfully strange energy emitting from them. They have videos where they're laughing, smiling, horse riding, having ice cream, basically doing things you might do on a family holiday, not on a son's memorial trip. and it's hard not to see the weirdness of it all. Something that really caught the eye of fans was Robyn's clothing. She's dressed in a maroon shirt and a baseball cap, the exact same one she was wearing in that other trailer clip where she and Kody were horseback riding. And yes, that too seems to have been filmed on the same trip to Wyoming. So, while the rest of the family is all getting together, grieving and paying their respects to Garrison, Kody and Robyn are horseback riding and seemingly taking the day off. It's disconcerting. The emotional whiplash isn't staged, and I'm just gonna come out and say it. This is not sitting with fans at all. I've had so many people say that they skipped over those scenes because they just didn't feel right. They felt off, out of place, insensitive. It's not that mourning must be a certain fashion. We're all different. But when you've got the juxtaposition of Kody and Robyn's experience and everyone else's agony, it's hard to turn a blind eye. It feels like two completely different stories are happening at the same time, and they don't align. And the question that's starting to ask itself again and again is this one: where is Garrison in all of this? Where is his story, his voice, his legacy? Why is so much time being given over to Kody and Robyn's bonding moments? Because this episode can be about the young man they're burying. That's what the fans are looking for. That's what the fans need to learn more about Garrison, who he was, what he liked, what he was fighting with, the people he loved, the man he was becoming. We do not want another ep of Kody and Robyn's emotional ride. We want to give respect to the man who is no longer with us, period. But as we continue to dig up Season 19, Episode 25, He Heals the Brokenhearted, it's clear that this is more than just a matter of farewell for Garrison. It's about the raw, unvarnished truth of a fractured family drawn back together, standing shoulder to shoulder for the first time in years, bound together by tragedy. So let's talk about what's really going on behind the scenes, because while this episode will certainly focus on the memorial and Garrison's burial, there's just so much festering below the surface. Years of anger, abandonment, silence, and unspoken sorrow, and now all of it is being pushed to the forefront, whether or not people want it to be. What I've read from both TLC's promo and inside sources is that this episode doesn't just show the burial. It's filled with intense dialogue, introspective monologues, and yes, awkward meetups. All the adults, Kody, Janelle, Christine, Robyn, and even Meri, are in the same room for the first time in a really long time. And there's a reason this took so long. The break, the splits, the divorce, the accusation. It's a deep, bitter past, one that hasn't fully healed. Christine particularly has had no desire to speak with Kody or Robyn since leaving, and we see that Janelle and Kody's relationship has fully disintegrated. Now they're all standing in Wyoming, trying to remember Garrison while wading through this emotional minefield of tension and alienation. What a thing, to have to mourn your child, your brother, your friend, and get to do it alongside people who shattered your heart. But here's the thing, this tragedy may have reunited the family physically, but emotionally, they're still light years apart, and the fans know that. You can already feel the cringe-worthy pauses in the handful of scenes we've seen so far. There's something in the air that no one is quite willing to say directly. It's the weight of unwritten words, of unmoved hugs, of never-uttered apology. Let's go further into the fan reaction, because this episode has made a huge wave of anticipation on the web. People are fearful, people are angry, and people are also hoping that maybe, just maybe, this tragedy would lead to some form of responsibility for Kody. Now, I'm not suggesting this moment is suddenly going to make him a better person, not on your life, but fans are hoping that once Kody will drop the pride and defensiveness and face what he's helped to create, the loneliness, the isolation, the pain his children, especially his son, have gone through. Garrison's death was not solely about mental illness or his own personal problems. It was also linked to profound emotional family divisions that never got the attention or restoration they deserved. In previous episodes, we had witnessed Garrison and Gabriel recount how much hurt they were by Kody's choices. 000842, especially Garrison was left feeling abandoned, disregarded, rejected, and these wounds never healed. That's reality. So, when individuals view Kody during the burial, they're not merely watching a father mourn his son. They're watching a man with a direct or indirect role in the agony that son endured. And that is hard to see. For viewers who have known this family for well over a decade, it's painful, which is why the fans are so insistent that this episode must be about Garrison, not Kody and Robyn's sad story, not more horseback riding montages, not them smiling in front of the camera as if they're on a honeymoon vacation. Fans want true, genuine feeling. They want memories of Garrison. They want to see his siblings talk about him. They want to witness the true connection between Janelle and her children, the connection that kept them united when everything else around them was breaking. And don't forget Christine's place in all of this. She wasn't biologically Garrison's mother, but she raised him. The connection among the children was always close. Janelle and Christine co-parented as a unit when Kody was not emotionally present. Christine was essentially a second mother to those kids, and to watch her grieve with Janelle, well, it's going to be painful. That's where the heart of the episode is. Now, let's gear shift a bit and talk about what's ahead for the remainder of the episode, because it's not all about the burial. According to behind-the-scenes account, we also get the family share stories of Garrison, some of which we'll have never before seen home photos and videos. A lakeside get-together where several siblings, among them Hunter and Gabriel, discuss the character of their brother, his sense of humor, his struggles, and his dream. A personal conversation between Janelle and Christine on motherhood, loss, and regrets. Maybe one of the most genuine moments in the episode, a trip to Garrison's go-to location in Wyoming, where he fished or hiked with the family, leaving stones or bouquets in his memory. And of course, a moment where Kody does eventually cry. The art fans are still debating whether it rings true or is for show. Let's also talk about something everyone is guessing at. Will this episode move the family closer together at all? In a few ways, yes. Tragedy can shake people to their core, stripping the noise bare and leaving you with what is real. And yet, in a way, it may just reveal just how far apart things have become. You can be in love and still not be able to tolerate the same room. You can grieve the same tragedy and still not know how to talk to each other. This episode may be the turning point, but it's not the climax of everything. It may be the beginning of a painful, long journey back towards healing. Or perhaps it's the final time they're all in one room with each other again. And that's why this episode is so great, so heartbreaking, and so necessary. Because for years, viewers have watched this family unravel at the seams. We've seen the cracks widen. We've heard the pain in the children's voice. We've seen the wives stand alone. And now, with the departure of Garrison, we're forced to confront the truth. Some things cannot be fixed. Some hearts will not heal in time. But still, the question persists. Can this loss give clarity? Can it force accountability? Will it get someone to finally utter the things they've had bottled up inside them for years? Perhaps, perhaps not. But one thing is for sure. Tomorrow night's broadcast will leave a mark on the Brown family, on the audience, on the legacy of Garrison himself. So we've talked about the emotions that are clogged up leading up to the burial. We've talked about the embarrassment and sadness of the family gathering. But now let's get to the real meat of what comes next. Because once the ashes are laid to rest and the cameras pull back, the silence starts. And that's where in the silence the true truths of this family resonate loudest. Let's be honest, this episode is not just a goodbye to Garrison. It's a mirror, and painful, unavoidable mirror to the entire Brown family and to all of us viewers who've been seeing this slow unraveling for over a decade. And what we see in that mirror is what's been in plain sight. The cost of emotional abandonment, the destruction of shattered communication, the deep scars left in the wake when control is disguised as bonding. This week, where he heals the brokenhearted, could have been subtitled, "What Happens When Healing Comes Too Late?" Because yes, healing can happen, but only if people are willing to face up to reality. And for far too long, Kody Brown refused to face up to it. Robyn, too, kept herself and her children within a neatly coiffed bubble as the rest of the family exploded. And it's not only the ex-wives who have experienced it, it's the kid. The kids who for years were made to think they lived in a whole plural family, only to come of age and find out that the whole was contingent, that the love was not equal, that some of them were made to feel like an afterthought. And in this episode, that's what's heartbreaking. You see the anguish on Gabriel's face. You see the grief in Janelle's eyes. You see Christine trying to carry her own grief while clutching the children that she still regards as hers. You see Logan stepping up, unflustered yet resolute. You see the sisters struggling to be brave, struggling to hold each other together while secretly breaking. What you don't see, at least not convincingly, is Kody owning up. And that more than anything else is what the viewers have been screaming for. Let's talk about that for a second. Fan outrage, a building crescendo. Since preview of the upcoming episode dropped on the Sister Wives Facebook page, viewers have been unleashing pent-up emotions, not just sadness, but anger. They've taken it to Reddit, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, berating what many see as a highly edited attempt to protect Kody's reputation. Dozens, if not hundreds of individuals have said that they're going to skip the scenes with him and Robyn altogether. Why? Because what's it look like? TLC is trying to present to us a form of truth that's not what the fans have been seeing happen for years. Kody, who avoided his sons throughout the pandemic. Kody, who demanded loyalty from the wives, yet gave none himself. Kody, who employed Robyn's compliance to gaslight the rest of the family into thinking they were the problem. And then here we are now, seeing him ride horses and getting ice cream while planning his son's funeral. It's a whiplash experience. Fans are crying, "We see you, TLC. We know what you're doing, and we're not having it." But here's the thing, despite all the cringeworthy and tone-deaf moments, this episode still has so much emotional heft, thanks to Garrison's brothers, thanks to Janelle, thanks to Christine, and thanks to the unvarnished moments of grief that make this episode so uncomfortably real. Janelle's stoicism in the face of loss, a mother's grief, a family's anchor for strength. Now let's zoom in for a moment on Janelle, because if anyone deserves the spotlight in this episode, it's her. Janelle has always been the rock, the stoic backbone of the Brown family. She didn't scream. She didn't fight back. She just did the work. She raised 6 kids nearly alone. And when Kody's attention drifted elsewhere, she never made an excuse. She just kept appearing. And here she stands above her son's grave. Let that sit for a minute. She's mourning Garrison while still being strong for the rest of her children. She's negotiating the practicalities of a burial. She's comforting Gabriel, who's barely keeping his head attached, and she's comforting him in public with cameras and with her estranged husband, who spoke barely a word to their sons for months, suddenly front and center. Janelle's unassuming heroism here is heroic. She doesn't need to have big scenes. She is the drama. Her pain is authentic. Her love is irrepressible. And through her, this scene remains dignified even when others are cringingly staged. Christine, de facto mother, and there is also Christine. Oh, Christine, she didn't bear this child, but she brought him up, loved him. In witnessing her grief in this episode may be the most poignant moment of the season, because Christine represents something that was once beautiful in the Brown family. The idea of sisterhood, of chosen family, of lovingly co-parenting and honoring each other. And what we witness here is her grief not just for the death of a child, but for the death of a dream, the concept of a family that had worked, that felt like home. There's one tremendously powerful scene, which the fans are already speculating about it, where Christine and Janelle sit side by the water, crying silently with hands in hand. It's not an acting piece. It's not a plot twist. It's 2 girls who love the same guy, hurt in the same spot. Moments such as those, that's why the fans keep watching. That's why this episode will go down in Sister Wives history as one of the most memorable Garrison's legacy. Beyond the headline, let's not forget what this episode truly is about. Garrison. Garrison was more than a son or a brother. He was a young man with plans, with passions for cats, for the military, for building his own kind of life. He was a quick wit, a generous soul, a capable one, and hurting in ways far too often unseen. This is not the scene of his burial. It is the scene of the beginning of his legacy being passed in the form of stories, in laughter, in tears. His siblings will share their stories. His friends will share their story. Even his distant relatives will likely have memory, and audience members will learn things they didn't know, small things that bring him to life again. Not about making him into a saint, not about making him seem more sacrosanct, about making sure he is not forgotten, that his suffering isn't glossed over, that his death isn't used as a narrative tool, but is treated with respect as an actual devastating loss. What this does for the future of Sister Wives. And the million-dollar question, where does the show head from here? Rumor on the internet is that this episode might just be the tipping point, not just emotionally, but structurally too. The fans are begging for the spotlight to be shifted off of Kody drama and onto the lives of the adult kids. They want to get more of Janelle Christine, their children, and their lives. They want healing, strength, genuineness. Others are even suggesting TLC's spin-off, a new show following the next generation of Browns navigating life outside the shadow of polygamy. Because while the original story might very well be drawing to a close, the family's saga is just getting started. But no matter what happens next, this episode will be the one that shook everything. A time of reckoning, a time of remembrance, a time when time freezes and we're forced to feel. And maybe, just maybe, that's what this family needed.